everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing good. So this is the session 2 of or day 2 of our understanding JSON, how to parse JSON data. Now, in our previous session, if you haven't gone through it, you can click on the I button at the top. So in our first session, we have talked about on a brief level of what is JSON and what are its structure. Basically, you have two structures, object and arrays, and why it is so important for applications like UiPath, and one sample problem statement. So this is only five topic or five snippet of informations that we have gathered or understood in our last session. Okay, so now in this session, what we are going to talk about or try to understand is two things. One is what is deserialization JSON? What is deserialization JSON array? Okay, so we are gonna explore two activity provided by UiPath, and we're gonna have some use cases, and we will try to solve that kind of a use cases. Okay, so without any ado, let's get started. But before that, like usual, a small request from my end would be is that if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go and do that. It's going to help a lot for me as well as to those people who are looking for this kind of content. Okay? Now, let's get started with the understanding of deserialization JSON, right? If you remember or if you recall in our last session, we did use deserialization JSON to print out some informations from the sample data that we had or sample JSON data that we had, like for example, name, age, skills, and so on and so forth. Now, what is this JSON, deserialization JSON, and how did we get it? If you open manage package, you should be able to see this web API activity. If you haven't, or if you're not seeing this, then install it by going into official, search the API and get it installed. Okay. Once you're done with that, just search in your activity panel as deserialization JSON, and you would see two things majorly. One is deserialization JSON and then array. I'll explain both of them so you will get an understanding of what they are. Okay. Now, I'll go one by one now. The first one is deserialization JSON. In this, what as name stands, it is you have a string of data and you're trying to serialize into a JSON object. That's the main agenda of this particular activity. So for this, the input would be your JSON string. The output would be your JSON object, which is basically of type Newtonsoft JSON.link.j object. Okay. Now, there would be a scenario that after looking into this, you may end up questioning yourself that which one to use when, right? But I'll explain to it. I'll give that information at the end of it once I explain JSON array as well. That way, you will have an understanding of when to use which activity. Now, first, let's create one workflow. Let this be as is. Let me create one workflow, which is, say, understanding the serialize JSON. Now, I'll also create one more workflow in and then make it as array as well. That way, it would be easy for me to go between these files. Anyway, now first we'll go back, we'll look into deserialization of a JSON. Like I mentioned, we need to have first we need to have the data, input data for this, right? The deserialization JSON. For this, input would be our, let's go back to our PPT. This is our input that I have, sample data. Let me copy this sample data. Let me go here, our project panel, and then open the project, JSON data. Let's create a copy of it and mark it as 3. copy this PPT data. I'm going to open this and paste whatever we had. Okay, I'm just going to save this. Now, first and foremost, first and foremost is read text file. Drag this, provide the path of it, which is JSON third file, save it. Then the output would be JSON string, I would mention. Okay. Now the same JSON string, I'm going to pass it over here. That's my input. But we are not done yet. We need to create JSON object as well. So J object or JSON object. Okay. Now I have the JSON object and it is of a type J object. Okay. Great. Now we have everything. So let's get back to our data. Now if you want to print this information, let's use write line and JSON object of employee. And then this is our main key. Okay, I'll go back to my our notepad. So how do you traverse between these elements is that, this is going to be the first at the topmost one that you see is the first element. And then comes the second key, third key, and so on and so forth, right? Now, I mean, it comes under, so for example, if I have in this way, okay, I'm just gonna mention it in like this, name, say Alex, okay? If I have it in this manner, it's not complete yet, but if I have it in this manner, to this employee name and then employee dot say something else if I have it, P name, this is going to be second sub key, some like this, okay? Or if I want to get employee age, then I'll get it this way, okay? Again, I'm saying this is not a proper way. We have to convert this into an array and everything. I'll come to it. You don't have to worry about it. I'll come to it. I'm just gonna do Control Z so it doesn't throw any error for me here. Now I'm gonna type it as name and then toString. Oh, sorry, toString. Done. So I'm basically trying to print the name of it, which we have it in the JSON array. Sorry, JSON file, which is called. Here you could see that the name is John. That's what we are trying to print. Well and good. So let me go back to PPT. The output will always be JSON, okay, or J object. You got that point, right? Now, remember one point that the deserialization JSON will always be a single JSON object or it represents a single JSON object and they are enclosed between or enclosed by flower brackets. Remember this point because it's going to be a very useful key point for the reason that I'm going to explain later to determine which one to use when. Now I'll go for JSON deserialization JSON array. Okay. Now the deserialization JSON array is basically the output of this would be a JSON array. Let me go back and let me create one more file and rename it into 4. Okay, I'll open this file and copy this data, entire data. And go back to our notepad and I'm pasting it. Okay, right. Now let's get back to our PPT. As it mentioned, the output will be in a J array. And also remember this, the JSON string here in this scenario represents the JSON array. Okay, basically enclosed between square brackets. Now let me go back to the code. Let's go for JSON array workflow. Let me take out the file or read file activity, port file, which contains array of JSON data, right? So that, and I'm gonna create a variable called same JSON string. Ultimately, our read text activity will provide us JSON string. Now, deserialization JSON array. Pass your JSON string. Okay. Now, the output here, you see here, JSON array or J array. So let's mention that JSON array. Okay, you're done. Now I'll show you here. You could see uh, the first one, deserialization JSON, Newton's of JSON dot link dot J object. But here, same until link, and instead of J object, it's J array. You got the difference, right? Now let us try to. So this is our data. This is an array of JSON, and the first information we have is name, and the second information we have is the uh, again name of the details, right? So this is our JSON data. Now let me loop through each of this. So I'll use for each and JSON array, right? If you see the output here, it's always a J token. Okay, basically not JSON array, JSON object, but J token. Now let me do a write line, J token dot, sorry, J token of name dot toString. This is my name, and also I'll print the age. Okay, so let's run and see what's gonna be the result. And you see, we have the details that we want. So now you understood the concept, right? So the JSON deserialization JSON will result in a J object. Deserialization JSON array will result in J array. Now the main question, which one to use when? It's very simple actually. If you remember, I told you to remember one thing, that it's a JSON deserialization JSON represents a single J object, and it is always enclosed in a flower bracket. And then the deserialization JSON array, it's a data, or it's an information basically enclosed in a square bracket, and it's an array, JSON array, right? So that is your key point to understand which one to use when. Now here in this case, if you have an sample data of this case, it's better to go with JSON normal the deserialization JSON. If you have array, then you can go with deserialization JSON array. I hope this is clear for you. So far, you understood about the deserialization JSON and deserialization JSON array, when to use which one. Now let's do one thing. I have an JSON data file I just captured. It's a sample data. Okay. A bit of complicated data, not extreme complicated JSON data. Uh, mm, we could say that for a beginner, it would be a bit complicated, but for advanced person, it would not feel like it's much complicated information or the data that we are seeing. Okay, so for now, let's use this data. The agenda of this from this particular use case would be is that let us print name and the responsibility of the person. Also, let us print the project uh, details such as project ID, project name, and the technology that the person has used. Okay. Now, let's go back to our UiPath Studio. So I have created a XAML file called solve complex JSON file 1. So let us get started with the code. Let us read this file. Uh, this would be this. Let's name the file as JSON string. Let's take out the the deserialization JSON because why I'm choosing that is I'm just checking in the first. It's not a square bracket, so we are good to go for the JSON deserialization JSON. Input is JSON string. Output, like you always, it's always be a single J object, which is JSON object. Done. Now the first requirement was what? Okay, the first requirement is to print name and role. So let's do that. I'm taking right line, name of or employee name, JSON object of employee dot, no, not dot, just the name to string role. Same thing I'll copy and paste here. Instead of name, it would be, is it small or capital letter? Yeah, paste it. Done. I have printed the name and role. Let's try testing it. Employee name Alex, role is RPA developer. Done. Now we have crossed the first hurdle. Now the second hurdle is we need to get project ID, project name, and technology. If you observe a bit over here, you see there is a square bracket, right? First, it's a flower bracket. So we went with the JSON, deserializing JSON, and now I see that there is a flower bracket. So how do we perform this? Remember our learnings, which is basically if you see square bracket, then it's gonna you have to use a deserialization JSON array. Right. Let's go back. Let's apply our learning. So I'm gonna use deserialization array. Up until now, okay, let's copy this. Let me take a copy of this and I'll open this. Okay. Now what we want is project. Up until here, you see it's there is no closing or it the after employee it's there is no open square bracket or anything. So it's single JSON you need to mention. This is a single JSON. Now I have passed this and output would be JSON array. Done. I have created this. I'm sorry. Let's go back to this. Now I need to print project ID. To print project ID, I'm gonna use for each. We have JSON array, and the result is always in current token. Now I'm gonna use the current token project ID. I'm just gonna zoom in a bit. Now project ID to string. Done. Let's give a proper naming. The project details are okay. Let's beautify it a bit more. Sorry. Say environmental dot new line. Right. Now let's give information of project ID. That's my project ID. Same thing. Let's do environmental dot new line. Right. I'll copy this entire thing and paste it over here. What I wanted again is the name. Right. Now I have printed it, but we are still not done yet. We yet to print the technology. But before that, let us run and see if whatever we have done so far is working or any error is there or not. Okay. Right. So we got the name, we got the project ID and project name. We need to change this project ID and project name. Let's fix that right away. Instead of ID here, make it as name. Done. But we need to get the technologies. Now to get the technology, what we need to do? Again for each. Okay, for each. So our J token, just a second. Not J token, it's current yeah, current. Let me just copy this entire thing. Now here, uh, technology signage. So I'm just gonna copy and paste technology. But instead of toString, I'll go back to the data, zoom in. So if you see here, technologies, it's a array again. Sorry, it's a array again, right? So if you remember in our first session, I have used something else. I'll use that also here, or I'll just show you how to use it. So what I'm trying to do, to object of list of, I'm converting the data into a list of string. Okay. And then I'm going to have a write line pasted. Now here, this is current text. Okay. It's our string data. So usually I don't really need the informations of dot to string or something like this. Now the project details, not the technologies is what we want. So I'm gonna mention technologies. I'll just copy this and paste it here. Okay. Technologies used are, okay. Now zoom in. I'm just gonna zoom in a bit. Okay. Current text. Okay. And then let's give maybe comma space and then uh okay. So what this gonna do? eh, So basically we need to merge them, right? So let me do one thing. Okay. I'll create a variable called final data. Okay. Final data. I'll tell you why I did it. I am gonna use this outside this for each. In here, final data, I'll change the scope to inside the first for each. Now in here, I'm gonna use an assign activity, right? Now this is what we did, right? So let's do string dot join and then string information. Yeah. Yes. So let's do the other way around. Comma and this. Done. Now our final data would be our the informations. Let's cross check yeah, it's a string. Now you should be good. Let's run and check. There you go. Employee name, project ID, project name, technologies are AI Center, technologies are Excel. What do we have here? Okay. Now you see, it's only giving us the last value, right? So there is something wrong with our merging or joining the data. Oh, so the issue is with the keyword that we have used. Although it is loop, it's just replacing it with the data that we already have it, right? Basically, if I close this, you see final data, it's already just joining the two-way information and it is just assigning, basically replacing the variable. Instead of join, let's use concat, right? Concat, sorry, cat of final data, comma, and this information. So now let us run and see. Yep, that's what we wanted, right? So we got UiPath document understanding UI, AI center. That's what we got it. That's what we wanted and we got it. So this is how you do the data or capture the data or pass the data in the JSON file. So I hope this is informative session for you. For more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel. And for now, that's all for today. I hope to see you soon. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy.